Let's listen for a moment to part of an ad that the National Rifle Association aired this week.
Are the president's kids more important than yours? Then why is he skeptical about putting armed security in our schools when his kids are protected by armed guards at their school? Mr. Obama demands the wealthy pay their fair share of taxes, but he's just another elitist hypocrite when it comes to a fair share of security.
So, Jim, explain to me the NRA strategy behind that ad.
I think this might have been designed by the same PR geniuses who are scripting Wayne LaPierre's immediate response to the Newtown shootings, where you're saying the only answer was having more people, more good guys with guns. And I think that any reasonable observer would find this a repugnant ad. As I believe Susan Eisenhower talked about even this morning, and saying that when she was the grandchild of a sitting president, she had to be protected by armed guards as matters of national security, which is the case with the Obama's children, too. I think the larger point here is that President Obama, over his career, has often relied on maneuvering his opponents to the extreme fringe, and it looks like the NRA may be positioning itself there now.
Well, Ari, what do you think? Is there, I mean, the ad's been widely denounced. Chris Christie, the Republican governor of New Jersey, has objected to it. Susan Eisenhower, as you say, the granddaughter of a Republican president, said in an op-ed piece that ran this morning, said it hurts our democracy by twisting the nature of the public debate. So does it do anything positive for the NRA? Is this a case where they have misfired?
They had a choice to either try to win over people who might have been partially but not entirely sympathetic to them, or to try to solidify their base members and their base supporters who believe so fervently that the government is a threat that must be countered with individuals arming themselves. They decided rather than maybe win over the wafflers, they are going to energize the base.
You know, one of the questions is whether this is a different time, a different case than after some previous shooting rampages. And one of the things we saw this week also were the Sandy Hook parents coming out and promising to be a force on this. It reminded me a little of the 9/11 families who became really an influential part of the debate in the aftermath of that tragedy. What do you think, Jim?
Yes, I think these are the counterpoint to the NRA, which, as we've been saying, has reminded politicians it will never forget if they betray them. If there's somebody on the other side who everybody knows is going to be there. It's interesting, as Ari was saying, the NRA was choosing between sort of solidifying its base or looking for the middle. How much that is the tone of a lot of politics now. It was the case certainly on deficit issues and tax issues. I think also in the confirmation of Chuck Hagel, which we may get to later on. There's a sort of solidify the base versus a look to the middle strategy.
You know, though, and I hate to keep bringing up my first gun control vote that I covered, but at that point in the 80s when they were rolling back the laws, the gun control laws that had been passed in 1968 after the assassinations, they were being fought, the NRA, by the law enforcement officials from all over the country. And I will never forget the sight of dozens and dozens and dozens of law enforcement officials coming to the Capitol, having to check their firearms at the door, and then lining the halls, each of them wearing an empty holster, and letting all these members of Congress walk past them. And in the end, the NRA won on that one.